Welcome back, focused learners. I am so incredibly excited to jump right into today's explainer with you. We all know the classic, sweet fairy tale of Snow White, right? Well, today, we're completely stripping away that modern polish. We are looking directly at the raw, unedited history of this folklore. And let me tell you, it is not the gentle bedtime story you're probably picturing. It's wild, it's unfiltered, and it is absolutely fascinating.
I mean, just listen to what we're actually dealing with here. No true love's kiss, a literal cannibalistic queen, torture by red-hot iron. Yeah, you heard that right. The original text we're diving into today is so much darker and so much more visceral than those sanitized versions we see in pop culture. This is a story about intense vanity, desperate survival, and some seriously brutal karmic justice.
Section 1. The Fairest of Them All.
So, our story kicks off with this incredibly striking imagery. Picture this. It's the dead of winter. A queen is sitting by her window sewing, and she accidentally pricks her finger. She sees this bright red blood drop onto the stark white snow on her windowsill, and she makes a very specific wish. She wishes for a child with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony wood, and she gets exactly what she asked for. But, tragically, her happiness doesn't last, because she dies shortly after. Fast forward a year, and the king remarries. This new queen? She is undeniably beautiful, yes, but she's also incredibly proud and deeply, deeply cruel.
Now, this new queen absolutely could not stand the idea of anyone on Earth being more beautiful than her. It was a total obsession. Every single day, she'd stand in front of her magical mirror and ask that iconic question we all know, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?"
And every single day, like clockwork, the mirror would give her this exact rhyming answer. You, my queen, are the fairest of all. Now, you have to understand, this isn't just a fun little magic trick. This is a daily ritual that literally sustains the queen's super fragile ego. As long as the mirror says those words, she's perfectly happy and the kingdom is safe.
But then we hit this number, 7. By the time Snow White was just 7 years old, she had grown so exceptionally lovely that her beauty actually surpassed the queen's. Think about that. This young, entirely innocent 7-year-old child unwittingly becomes the ultimate catalyst for the absolute nightmare that follows.
Because one morning, that safe daily ritual is shattered. The mirror answers with this devastating new rhyme. You are fair, O queen, it's true, but Snow White is fairer than you. And the queen doesn't just get a little disappointed. No, her jealousy instantly curdles into this all-consuming, murderous hatred. She immediately calls for a huntsman and orders him to take the child into the forest, kill her, and bring back her heart as proof.
But here's what happens. When the huntsman actually raises his knife, the child cries out and begs for her life. He looks at this innocent kid, takes pity on her, and just tells her to run away. Now, to trick the queen, he kills a wild boar instead. And guys, this is where the story gets truly gruesome. He brings that boar's heart back to the castle. The queen, fully believing she is holding the heart of her 7-year-old stepdaughter, happily has the cook prepare it, and she eats it. She literally eats it.
Section 2. Banished to the dark forest.
So while the queen thinks her rival is dead and digested, Snow White is running terrified through these dark, looming woods. Finally, the sun sets, and she stumbles upon a safe haven. It's a strange little house in a clearing, and inside there's this classic, rhythmic, folkloric repetition to everything. 7 small plates, 7 cups, 7 little beds. She's exhausted and starving, so she tastes a little bit of food from each plate, takes a sip from each cup, and tests out all the beds until she finds the 7th one is just right, and she falls fast asleep.
When the 7 dwarfs finally get home from mining in the mountains, they find her there. They're kind enough to let her sleep, and then the next morning, they strike a very practical deal. They offer to protect her, but it's not a free ride. In exchange, she has to work. She agrees to keep the house tidy, cook, clean, sew, and wash. They shake on it, but before they leave for work, they give her one incredibly strict, non-negotiable warning. Do not let anyone inside.
Section 3. The Queen's 3 Deadly Tricks.
Back at the palace, the magic mirror drops a bombshell on the queen. Snow White is still alive, and she's living over the hills with the dwarfs. What happens next is a brilliant, terrifying psychological escalation. The queen doesn't just try to kill her once. She makes 3 separate, heavily disguised trips over the mountains, and she gets more cunning every single time. Attempt 1, she disguises herself as an old peddler selling beautiful laces. She laces Snow White up so tightly that the girl literally collapses, but the dwarves get home just in time to cut her loose. Attempt 2, The queen tries a new disguise, offering a pretty comb. Snow White lets her put it in her hair, but guess what? It's poisoned. She collapses again. And again, the dwarves return just in the nick of time to pull it out and save her.
But the sheer deviousness of this final attempt is just staggering. The queen cooks up her most dangerous trick yet, an apple that is only poisoned on one side. She dresses up as a farmer this time. When Snow White remembers the dwarf's warning and refuses to open the door, the queen cunningly offers to just share the apple through the window. The setup is genius. The red side is poisoned, and she hands that to Snow White. The white side is perfectly safe, and the queen takes a bite of that herself to prove it's harmless. Snow White takes one bite of her red half and instantly drops to the floor.
Section 4. A glass coffin and awakening.
This time, when the dwarves rush home, they're too late. They can't revive her. She isn't breathing. The aftermath here is incredibly somber and haunting. For 3 whole days, the dwarves just weep over her lifeless body. They can't bear to bury someone so beautiful down in the dark earth, so they build this elaborate glass coffin. They write Snow White, daughter of a king, in golden letters on the side, and they place her high up on the mountain, constantly keeping watch. Eventually, a prince happens to ride through the forest. He sees her in the glass, and he's so moved by her beauty that he practically begs the dwarves to let him take the coffin away so he can honor her memory forever.
And meanwhile, back at the castle, the wicked queen checks in with her mirror. And finally, she gets the answer she's literally been killing for. You, my queen, are the fairest of all. She feels totally validated. She is absolutely convinced that she has finally permanently won.
Okay, so here is the crucial point about how this spell actually gets broken. There is absolutely no magic kiss. None. As the prince's servants are lugging this heavy glass coffin through the woods, they physically stumble over a tree root. That sudden, violent jolt just pops the piece of poisoned apple right out of Snow White's throat. She wakes up, completely unromantically, basically just because she was dropped. The prince is obviously thrilled. He asks her to be his queen on the spot, and she says yes.
Section 5. The Wicked Queen's Gruesome End.
Now, the wicked queen, who still thinks Snow White is dead, actually gets invited to this royal wedding. Right before she leaves her castle, she consults her mirror one last time, but the mirror drops this devastating revelation. The new queen is fairer than you. Her heart absolutely fills with dread, but her jealousy and her vanity are literally a compulsion. She can't stop herself. She absolutely has to go to this feast just to see who this beautiful new rival could possibly be.
She arrives at the grand, splendid wedding, and the moment she realizes the new queen is Snow White, she knows there's no escape, and the punishment prepared for her is horrific. She is forced to step into a pair of iron shoes that have been heated over a blazing fire until they are glowing red hot, and then she is forced to dance in them. She dances in pure agony until she drops to the floor, dead. It is a stark, brutal punishment, acting as a harsh folkloric warning about the ultimate, destructive cost of extreme vanity.
Which really leaves us with this final question to ponder. Why did modern adaptations feel the need to completely erase the brutal, visceral consequences of this original folklore? As we've seen throughout this explainer, the original story totally didn't shy away from cannibalism, psychological torture, or lethal, fiery justice. What does it say about us that we took these unpolished, terrifying warnings and sanitized them into gentle little fairy tales? Think about that for sure the next time you see a cheerful cartoon princess. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive today, Focused Learners. Keep questioning the stories you think you know, and I'll catch you in the next one.